Brian Bride. I am the director of payroll operations at your payroll department. I've been in the field for 10 years, and I've been working with an ISOL service bureau for over two. Before I came here, I recently started. Uh, so I'm here to help with the iSolve conversion because we're coming from this evolution system into iSolved, and to kind of modernize some of our processes and procedures. Today, we're going to go over what the system looks like. This is just demo with demo data that I pulled from other demo companies. I'm going to go over what onboarding looks like, what employee maintenance looks like, and what payroll processing looks like. The goal of this is to kind of give you some kind of basis for when your implementation starts, that maybe we can kind of get ahead of some of the basic questions. And in doing so, you're still going to have the opportunity to train on your own data with the CSR that'll be training you. But we kind of hope that this would kind of give somebody a head start and a preview, so you kind of know what it looks like going in, and then we can spend more time on just specifics to your company. Maybe you're a restaurant, maybe with tips, or maybe you're a construction with prevailing wage, and you want to spend more time on that piece instead of like the nuts and bolts. So um, we're going to start now. So for onboarding, this is the view you take when you're admin. So onboarding, anybody can be assigned an onboarding role. So you could have managers onboard employees. You could have your payroll person. It's up to you. ISO is very customizable. So it's very simple. I'm going to do a simple onboarding just so you guys can see. So you just click initiate onboarding, and here you're just going to pick the legal company. That's like your FEIN. So it's just my test company, and then I have just an office work location, and I'm going to use just the basic onboarding template. And then I'm just going to put in my name, and I'm going to put test, and then I have this test email for everybody to see, so you can see what it looks like on your end. That's it. So when you hire a new employee, this is all you need to provide. So you can have a manager do it. You could even have a key individual for you, a team lead or something, do it, because you're not really giving out all the information. And then when it comes back, you can choose to only have the payroll person onboard them and complete the process, so they don't see any of the pay information. And then you hit save, and it goes out to the employees. So you can see on here that we have this little dashboard that shows that we send somebody onboarding, waiting for the employee to complete it. So it says over here, waiting on employee. There's some you can bypass the hire wizard if you want to just like bring them in the system straight ahead. You can resend an activation email. They're saying I didn't get it, or you can delete it. So this email address you can't change. So if for some instance you type the wrong email in, you have to delete it out the onboarding event and then relaunch it. As you saw, it didn't take very long. So then I'm going to show you what it looks like from the employee end. So they get this email that's like, welcome to the company. You can change this a little bit on here to, if you want to change some of this stuff, that is possible, but mostly people kind of use it the same. So then it gives you a username, which is their email, but there's this right here to register, this URL to register. This URL to register is one time. That's a big thing. People do what I would do. They would save this registration URL and be like, oh, I'll just bookmark this for next time. That won't work. It's just for registration. So then we're going to put in our username. And then they'll ask you for a security code the first time that you log in. If you provide a phone number, they can text it to you. But here we're just going to use the security code using the email. You can also set up authenticators. So if that's something somebody is savvy on, they can set that up if they want. Okay. So the first thing that you see when you sign in is the electronic communication and electronic signatures. So what this is so that you can sign off on items electronically. And then you can go ahead and hit accept down here and then submit. If they choose not to accept it, then they're not going to be able to sign the I-9 and items electronically. They're going to have to send it to you manually. This part here is customizable. So it says your company, and then you can put whatever you want in here. A lot of times people will put like documents they want people to read. So maybe here's a common thing. Maybe you're a trucking company and there's like a DOT thing you want them to read. You can enter it here and they have to read it and then they can sign off on it. Other times they'll put their employee handbook on here so they can read it before you go forward. We're just going to go continue and we're going to go to personal information. So this will have information that you filled out. So see, it has the name and items already. So it says Brian Test, my name. I'm gonna put an address in here. We're gonna let's put my address, fine. And then there's an alternate address if like maybe they're foreign or there's military. Then you can put personal contacts in here. So if you're required, like, oh no, this is your contact deals. I'm sorry. So here's where they're gonna enter in like their like date of birth and social security number. Phone number, they need to say optional email. Hit save. So these kind of items you can make some required. Save. Okay, so that's next. Here's where you can add emergency contacts, or you can add dependents and beneficiaries if you're using the benefit module. So if you wanted to add emergency contact, you could do so there. Then it's paycheck. You have direct deposit. So there's a little note here on the right hand side. Enter in the many accounts. You can do a whole bunch if you want. There's a flat dollar amount. You can do it like every other pay. You can do a percentage or remaining net. If somebody just wants to have one account, they put routing number and they're just going to do a remaining net and that'll be the end of it. If you don't require direct deposit, they don't need to enter it in. They can skip that part. Next is tax information. So this is a tax wizard. This is a W-4, and if you're in Illinois, the IL-4. So it's kind of a cool tool where you can come in here and you start and you can pick what you want, right? So based on my address, the federal and Illinois comes up because I'm an Illinois resident. Then it asks some questions, are you foreign earned income, non-resident, if you want standard. So almost all of your employees are going to be standard federal withholding right in the middle there. Then it's going to ask you to complete the withholding certificate and you're going to hit start. And then you like non-resident alien. I am exempt or I'm not exempt from withholding. So if you're exempt, that's where you didn't have any liability last year. You don't expect any this year. So I expect liability. Here's where you enter in the 3, single or married, filing joint, or head of household. And then here's where you decide. So there's a estimator, which I really recommend people use on the irs.gov website that helps you. You can use multiple job worksheet if you have multiple jobs. Or if you and a spouse have a job, you can use another one of those worksheets. But this is the one, if they're not really sure or they're not happy with their refund from last year, here's where I would go. Because you can put in, I want my refund to be X amount of dollars, and then it will back it all the way out and tell you what you should file. So that's a really, really handy tool from the IRS. So we're just going to be single and do this. So dependents, where you would put the claim in for, how much the child tax credit you qualify for. So, we're going to put in 0. I'm going to put in 0 and put in 0 here. But if you wanted, to put 1 in there for the 2000, you could do it there. And then here's the other income, if you need to withhold, and we're going to say no. And then review document. So it's kind of written here what your filing status is. And it has all those the schedule's down here if you want to look that up. But all you do is put your last for your social in there, which is mine's 999 on this one. You hit submit and it saves it. Then you can go ahead and hit continue. Then it goes straight to Illinois because we're in Illinois state. So I'm not exempt from military spouse. I want to continue in English. Pretty straightforward. I'm going to hit start here. I'm not exempt. I'm going to modify joints. I don't want any additional withheld. And then you put it in. So remember, Illinois doesn't matter single or married. It just means if you're going to have how many allowances that you're going to give yourself. So you're going to click here as certified and you hit 999 again. And we're going to submit this form. And then you hit finished. So we're all good with that. Then we're going to come back here. So confirm completion. You're going to click that it's completed and you're good to go. Form I-9, so you can have them fill that out electronically. So this has to match. Date of birth, email, phone, address. I didn't put my address in here. Next, okay. Then if you have a preparer help you, you can mark that here, it's like on the sheets. And then I'm a citizen. And then the thing here is you have to have it like exactly matching or else it's not going to allow the signature. And it says, I'm aware and I agree and acknowledge. Now, the next thing it goes to upload documents. So now you can upload the documents for you. Now, unless they're a remote employee, you have to physically examine them. So when they show up, the first day they still need to bring their documents in so you can review it and sign off on the I-9. But to kind of get a head start, you can upload it here. So I have two like generic files that I pulled off the internet just for fun. And then we'll look at those a little bit later. So that's all done. You go ahead and close that. And then self-identification. And then veteran. And next there. Then disability. So all those standard forms. And then here's where we used to upload I-9s, but they add that new functionality. So here's what other documents. So let's say a restaurant, maybe you want to see their serve safe. Maybe they need some kind of license, a CPA, and they want to put their CPA license up there that you want to review, something like that. So you go ahead and skip that. And then next. So if there's something they didn't fill out, it's going to force you to come back. So if, for instance, they say like, oh, I'm not going to fill out a form that's required, it doesn't let you move forward. So you're going to hit submit. So at this point, when they hit submit, it's going to go through and then they can't log in yet until you've actually brought them into the system. So that's another like common thing where they try to log in after this, it's not going to let them. So we are going to go and log in now as the admin. It's going to send you a security code because they're logging in with two different people. Then, so I'm going to be in my demo environment here. When you're a client, you log in, it's going to go straight to like the client screen. It's going to go to the client landing page here. It's not going to go anywhere else. So it's going to go something like this. So now the employee over here is in pending employees. So now it's assigned to you or it's assigned to whoever you want, right? So we're going to do the client new hire wizard to bring this person into the system. So there's a couple items to look at. You can make changes here. You don't need to because this is all their information. You can go ahead and next. Employment information, you're going to give them an employment category for part-time. That's all you really need to do on this screen is assign that. Then you can go ahead and hit next. Salary is where you're going to enter in what their salary is. So most companies only have one pay group. That's, whatever your pay frequency is. And then we're going to make this person hourly, and their hourly rate's going to be $20 an hour. Go ahead next. Here's I-9 so now you can do this electronically where you're looking at the document and bring them in. So I can pull up the driver's license here. Take a look, I guess, in photos where it's going to show up. So this generic driver's license I got off there. You also can look at like Social Security card, and you can review that. So yeah, Social Security card, and then you can just put in right there. So I'm just going to be like, they got a passport. And then I'm going to put my name in there. Screen acknowledgement, I test, I checked everything, and I'm legally bringing this person on board. There's tax information for you to review. The reason why I would leave this in is because if somebody's exempt, you might want to have a conversation with them to say, are you sure you want to do exempt? And if they say yes, then you're good to go there. Direct deposit, you want to add it. Emergency contacts, if you want to review if they have those, if that's like a requirement. And then documents, if they gave you any other documents. Then it's going to go into this workflow where it's going to look for any kind of mistakes. And then you hit complete new hire, brings it in. Okay. So saying this person has been hired, and then goes pending employees if they hire others. But now we can see his information is in here now. So this screen here we're looking at now is the general employee screen. This is going to have the general information that you're looking for. So as self-service items over here, electronic consent, it has where they are, any other kind of information that's there. So if somebody needs to change something, so if you want to terminate them, you can do it here. We also have things called offboarding, which is similar to onboarding. So if you have maybe issued a lot of property to somebody and they need return things, you can use offboarding to go through all those steps, maybe multiple sign-offs, something like that. Offboarding is not used very often, in my experience. So this is a general screen for you to change anything. If they want to change their address, we'll show you self-service, so they can go ahead and they can like do it themselves, and you can approve it. Another thing to show on this screen is jobs. So jobs drive a lot of items here. So in order for somebody to be a supervisor, they have to be marked as a supervisor in here, so they can be, have somebody be their supervisor. So that's driven by the jobs. So we customize that for who you are. And then just to show you functionality, I'm going to come back in a second, make them their own supervisor. It's not there yet. Okay. Now, the next thing, a lot of stuff works on effective dates, right? So really important effective date. So we just hired this person, but let's say we want to add, let's say we wanted to give them a raise. So if you edit this, you lose any kind of functionality to look at effective dates and things in the system. So you really want to add things. So we're gonna be like, all right, this is a future change. We're gonna give them a raise. Maybe you have a 90-day review or something, right? So as of June 1st, you're gonna do other, and you're gonna raise them from $20 an hour to $21 an hour. So when you put the 21 in here, it's going to calculate these increases just by putting a number in. So if you want to increase somebody's, okay, their salary was 41.6, I want to make their salary now 45,000. You put that in there, it's going to adjust all the amounts to match what you wanted. Then when you look at the metrics on these things, you're gonna be able to see, okay, I gave this person a raise. You'll be able to band people together. So it's really important if you see an add new on here, after you've gone through the implementation, the data is accurate. On a go forward basis, you're not editing these records, you're clicking on add new. Then there are the additional like earnings and items. So here, like maybe you have expense reimbursement or something that they get every pay period. It's a recurrent earning. Recurring deductions are items like maybe an advanced or some vision, depending on the setup of your company. Sometimes we leverage something called employee benefits, that you tie benefits to employees. So all you have to do is change the rate table. They keep the same benefits. It updates everything automatically. That's kind of a next level thing that we'll add. But so for right now, I'm just going to put in, a section 125 that has $100 or so. We can see what the deduction looks like. Same thing with something like deferred comp, right? I'm just going to enter in a Roth amount of like $10 every pay, but we can get fancier with this in regards to using benefits and things to make the maintenance a little bit easier. But for right now, this is the way to do it. We also have garnishments. Garnishments is something that you probably want to send in to us and have us help you with, just to make sure it's set up correctly. And then direct deposit, if they need to change direct deposit, you can edit it here. And let's look at what the employee self-service looks like. So I'm going to log out of here, and then I'm going to log back in as the employee. Send you the code again. Go ahead and hit submit. Okay, so now that when I log in here right away, it's going to ask me if I want electronic tax forms. So I'm going to say accept. I want electronic delivery of my tax forms. So there's two different ways to view items. This is the classic experience, but there's also one that is mobile friendly that a lot of people use. And that's over here is called the adaptive. And so we're going to get logged in here. So if we want to look at it like it's on a phone, I'm going to show you that real quick. So here's what it looks like on a phone. You can go over, look at the items. So on this screen would be some time entry stuff if we had that. We're not doing that today, but here's items that people can update that are what people are going to be using. They're going to direct deposit update. They can add their own direct deposits and do like remaining net. Okay. They can also do things that tax updates. So this is the other thing. So they can change, their filing. So let's say, oh, I want to open my tax wizard and I want to fix my Illinois because I want to add more withholding. And then I want to put 2 on there. 0. And I'm not blind or anything, so I'm gonna hit next. No additional allowances. No additional amounts. That's a lot of these questions. Certify, hit 9999, hit submit form. So now this is updated in my status. Yeah, it's the personal documents, personal information, general or addresses. We can edit. I can be like, oh yeah, I moved to Easy Street. and McHenry, save. Let's say somebody moves to a different state, then it's going to ask them to update their information there. So that's how that works. And we also put in, it's up to clients. We can also put in the fact that if they make a change, update, you get notified of it and you can approve or, disapprove address changes. I don't usually put something, but I could see the need for tax information. Again, if they want to be like, oh, I make them so exempt, that you might want to have a conversation. But if they mark themselves exempt and they signed off on a W-4 electronically and they have proof of acknowledgement, then you're fine, legally speaking, because they filled it out and gave it to you. So, all right. So that is what kind of like the employee experience looks like, and onboarding somebody and making changes to items. So we are going to log back out and we are going to look at the payroll. Okay, so payroll processing. There's a couple things in the payroll processing. It's pretty straightforward. Not sure if your team has entered stuff into the payroll grid before or how are you doing payroll, but this is a pretty simplified version. When you get to your own data and we go over everything, it's going to make a lot more sense to you. So in this instance, we have a couple of people here with the salary and the rates, and we have columns here. So there's department. If you want to override departments, I got a bonus, I got a regular, I got a salary. You can set up different templates. So let's say like if I want to see all my earning codes, I can change this to all. I have like every single earning code that I have because this is a demo company. You can have a test or a regular. Most people use this like they'll make a bonus one, right? They'll have like just the bonus code, or maybe they'll make a template for like reimbursement. So they go through and tag it real quick. So that's really, really flexible. You can kind of make whatever ones that you want. So we're going to add some hours on these folks and then show you what it looks like. So Ella Bean's salary, you don't need to do anything for them. And these others, we're going to give them 60 hours, 50 hours, 75. There's also a concept if you want to need to do one-off items of the individual time entry. So individual time entry, you can adjust the checks. So it says, Hannah, we got 75 hours. Let's say, okay, let's make this 50 and she had only 25 of PTO. If I come back to time entry grid, this information has been updated because it's live. And then you come back here, it's the same. So once you make a move and you move over and it clears, then it's locked in. You don't need to save. You don't need to do anything. It has something called a preview check where you can go ahead and click preview check. And you can see the check. You can look at like the regular, are the rates right? The taxes look okay? We need to add some dollars to them. So let's see if we go find the Brian test person that we add like a deduction to, and we are going to put in 40 hours. Go ahead, preview check there. And here you can see we have the 40 hours. We got a match. There's the Roth, and then there's section 125 that we put in there. Taxable wages are over here, and you can kind of look at the check. Like I said, you can get, as much as you want in here. So a lot of times, you're just going to use a couple of columns. You got regular, overtime, holiday, maybe something like that. Enter information in. If you happen to be doing the time card deal, there's a process. This one's not set up for that, but you'd have a time management and you'd lock time cards and then bring them over into the time, and then it'd be populated with all the hours based on the rules. So talk to your implementation person about that if you have the time deal. Let's see here. Now let's look at the reporting. So there's two sections here. This one has a preview on here and a process. So I like to go preview so you don't process on accident. The thing to remember about iSolved is that when you make a change on somebody's check, if you like come here and make a change and you come back to preview payroll, if you don't click re-preview again, you don't see the new information in the reports. There's a timestamp so you can kind of see that here. So let's get this here. So here, 5:39. This is always Eastern time. So it's 4:39, so it's 5:39 Eastern. These are locked in. So if I went to here and changed a number and then came back here and then didn't hit the preview, it's not going to update in the reports. So the two reports that you generally look at are payroll summary. So this is a payroll summary. This is very similar to, I believe it's called the cover letter or cover page in Evolution. So this shows that we have 4 checks. Only one check is going direct deposit. Here's our payroll liabilities, and here's payroll billing that I didn't really set up. So this is what your total payroll funding would have to be. So you would need 7872 to cover your payroll. That's your total payroll liability. These screens will break out withholding. This will break out employer tax. This breaks out the earnings, if you want to look at it that way. Most people just use the first two pages. You have this one, and then you have this for the breakdown of taxes. Make sure that makes sense and looks right. Either right percentage. It's payroll summary. The other one that people usually review is the payroll register. So this is everybody's check broken down. And if they're salary, they're auto paid on here. If they're hourly, if there's no hours, they don't show up. So I had that long list of employees, but I didn't put hours on everybody, so then it didn't show up. So if we look at the payroll register, right, first person, we got 60, 90, 900. You have taxes coming out. Up here you can see their address, their hourly rates, net pay versus direct deposit. So there's no direct deposit, so they're getting a check. If we come down to Ella, she's salary. So that amount is there, the 2,500. Come back to my test one. We have those 40 hours, rate of 20. We have the $100 we took out, the $10 is showing direct deposits. And that's that. So one important part of implementations, we'll run a test payroll, your last payroll with your prior provider and your payroll with us, and we'll match them all the way up. So it's really important that we get down to a couple pennies because there's some rounding things to make sure you check all your taxability and items. Here's where you're going to look at totals. So maybe you have a timesheet, maybe you're a restaurant and you're printing a timesheet out toast, you're entering in hours, and you'd have, oh, did I pay 305 hours? Is that what's on my total? You can kind of look at it there. It's payroll register. Other reports sometimes people use direct deposit register, the review, the invoices there. So here we just have the one basic bi-weekly in the billing, and it's same, very, very similar to your current experience evolution. And then this is all customizable. So if there's other reports that you want added, we can definitely do that for you. We can take some reports out if you don't want to see them. It's up to you. And then after you'd run that, you come to process payroll. This one's time cards, but we don't really have anything to lock. You lock the time cards and nobody can make an adjustment. You commit the time, bring it over, preview, and hit process. So if we hit the process on this payroll, it says uncommitted time data. We don't have any time data. We can go and continue. Do you want to process this payroll? Yeah, sure. Why not? And we process the payroll for this Friday. Show here. It takes a second to get reports. When your reports are available, the report archive is something that you use. So we can see here, these are very similar. They're queued, so they haven't shown up yet. But there's reports that you would need in here if you wanted to make changes or what have you. We can always adjust those. So that is the reporting. That is some employee management, a quick dive in the payroll processing, which we want to spend more time in payroll processing with the CSR when they train you on your own data. It's hoping that some of the maintenance, so you know what you can and can't change, can kind of shorten that kind of part of training when you kind of get closer to implementing.